Okay, Russ, pleased to get back to winning ways then at the weekend. It was important, wasn't it, just to settle things down a little bit after a couple of difficult results. To get that victory was it just came at an important time.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just a brilliant way for the players to respond. Um, yeah, I don't think we were feeling any differently about anything. I think we were a bit frustrated after Crewe. I thought we played really well at Ipswich, and then for quite a bit of the game we played well at Lincoln. I just think we did lack a little bit of conviction moving forward in that game, and then got punished by some very good players against a team that are very good at what they do. As I said, I didn't think 4-0 was a fair reflection of it, but you have to take your medicine and move on. That's football, that's life. But I'm really pleased with the way they bounced back. I thought it was a really good performance on Saturday, and one that we can definitely improve on as well. But I said what I liked about us after, with this group's always the case, I think we have to go back to, we move on to something and then we forget a little bit of the other stuff, and eventually we'll be able to knit it all together. But the response to the Lincoln one and what we spoke about after the Lincoln game, what we wanted to see more of in the Portsmouth game was really, really pleasing. And I think the only, as I said to you, the only disappointment is we should score more goals before they even have a chance. We have two brilliant chances. We hit the post, and Griggy has a great chance before they even have a chance. So yeah, it's just frustrating we don't score more, or we didn't score more. But certainly we looked a real threat. The intensity, the physical stats from the game were incredible. At this stage of the season, were really, really good. And when the guys play with that energy, that intensity, I think they are really starting to believe in themselves and believe in each other, and they make it really difficult for the opposition. So, and that's a good team we played against. They're fighting to get into the playoffs and get promoted, and they've been really, really good under the new manager. So it was a tough game, and I'm really pleased we got through it the way that we did, and I think we deserve to win. And now we can look forward to trying to finish as strongly as possible the last 4 games.
When you say that, try and finish as strong as possible. Can that have an impact if you coast, knowing that there's no up or down for MK Dons this season? If you coast, can that be taken into next season? Is that true? Can it
Yeah, I think it's dangerous. I think purely from a mentality and psychological point of view, because you then start going into the summer with maybe a few doubts over certain bits in terms of what we're doing, the process. Also about players, if you look at them and you see them coasting through, it's not what you want. Every game professionally is of value. It's huge because you look back at the end of your career, and you don't want to have any regrets. I think every game you have to fight so hard to become a professional player, so hard to get into this level of football, into the trying to fight to get into the elite. If you end up playing higher, then even more incredible really what the percentages are of the chances are of making that level of football. And then to get here and take any game for granted is outrageous. You lose sight and you lose track of how hard you've had to work to get there. So I think we need to keep banging the drum about that. I think every game is of value to us and where we're trying to get to, and every game should be of huge value and never be taken for granted by any professional footballer, and certainly won't be here. And also, it's just about building belief and building momentum ahead of next season, and also trying to finish as high up as possible to give the players a bit of validation in what we're doing and what they're doing and the risks they take and the courage they show, but also for people from the outside, if we're trying to attract players to sign at the club, I think it helps the higher up you finish, because sometimes people struggle to see past the league position or how you finish the season. It makes everyone feel differently about how they go into the summer. So I think it's dangerous to try and for anyone just to coast through and just sort of let's just get to the end of the season. We want to finish. And also, Luke, we've put in too much hard work for it just to fizzle out. It's been such a tough season. I spoke to you a few times now about it. It's been a real battle to just get to where we're at with so much change. So I don't think they'd be doing themselves justice if we coasted. We wouldn't be doing ourselves justice. And all the supporters have been incredible, even though they haven't been here with the support they've shown. So yeah, let's try and finish as strongly as possible, and hopefully we can carry that forward into next season.
Have you made every decision possible about who you want to stay, who you perhaps want to try and make stay, who you want to bring in? Have you made all those decisions already?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't think. as I said, consistency is really key with us with the process. So it doesn't change. One person has a bad game, so we're not keeping him now. Or one person has a brilliant game, we need to give him a 3-year. It's not how it works. So you see the guys every day. You can judge really clearly on how they behave, their behaviours and values, how they align with the values of what we're doing. And then also performances, of course. But I think some people take longer to put in consistent performances than other. There's a lot of people at different stages of their careers. There's some guys who haven't played as much as they'd wanted to. Some through no fault of their own. Some because they haven't quite done what they expected or we expected of them. But also because players in front of them have been playing really, really well. So there's so many different things to take into account with every single player, but we're fairly consistent with that approach. And I think if you'd probably asked me that in February or March, I'd probably tell you the same vision or the same idea on in terms of players. I think we have a few who you have to see how they physically cope. A couple of the older guys, and obviously Josh coming in after a long-term injury, but we've been really pleased with all of them. So I think our minds we're fairly confident on the decisions we're making, and also about the people we will try and bring in. And that will change, of course, chop and change because situations change, but we're really clear on what we need and what we want.
Just talk a little bit about David Kasumu, if we can, because we're going to be talking to David today. And I just wonder how much pleasure it gives you. I think it gives us that have seen David from being very young, and he's still young, but watching him develop through MK Dons to become the player he is and look like he can be better and better year on year. How much pleasure does that give you as his manager?
Yeah, huge. I think Davey's sort of an embodiment of what we try to do in terms of develop people and players. I think he's developed as a person hugely. I obviously came here and he was a young player who wasn't involved very much at all. He kicked people in training a lot and was great at it. But he was sort of floating between right back and centre midfield. And then obviously he made his breakthrough when I was playing in the team, playing as a holding midfielder, doing a very different job to what he's doing for us now. I think his first, then we took over, and the first period with us was difficult. He came off in a lot of games. He didn't start every single game, but it was kind of a work in progress. And I think with David, I think it's his ability to learn really quickly, his attention to detail, the way he responds to constructive criticism. I think we've always been really honest. I think Ryan Harley, really early on in the process, has to take a lot of credit. He spent a lot of time with David individually, and we all have, whether it's in the meeting room. Luke's been the same, and the way he takes on. I think David's the most brilliant thing about David is that he's really resilient, he's really robust, and he learns so fast. He's always had incredible athleticism, and that's getting better and better, and that's something that a lot of people don't possess. So he makes the most of that. But the way he's improved the other side of his game, the way he receives the ball, the way he looks around, the detail on the pass he gives other people, he can take people out of the game when he drives forward. He's an all-round midfielder, really. Obviously, he doesn't get a chance to score many goals in the position he plays for us because he's so valuable to us on the other side of the game. But he just needs to keep learning. He's a brilliant person. We love him as a guy, and he's really growing in his role around the place as well with the other young guys, which is great to see. And hopefully we can just keep developing him and he can keep growing with us and keep improving with us. And but we've got a player who's certainly capable of playing in my opinion, at the very highest level, although we could cut that out of the interview and not alert anyone else to that. But he's great.
And just like coming up against, we talk about not coasting and about keeping your motivation, and I couldn't imagine it to be any other way with you. But in reality, you're coming up against a side in Lincoln that is going for promotion, in Bristol Rovers who are fighting relegation. I think the line is that it's being fair to the league to play how you would play. I mean, you wouldn't do that any other way anyway. But it's just interesting that the games you've got actually have something on them. Not necessarily for MK Dons, but you can be part of the wider picture. Yeah,
I think we have a big say in things. We've had obviously a say in the last few games about the playoff places. We've now got a big say down at the bottom end of the table. So makes it difficult because we're now playing against teams that are fighting for their lives. They are desperate to stay in the league, and it's so tight down there. I'm just really grateful we're not involved in that at all this season. After last season, it was tough, but it's going to be really tough. When people are fighting to stay in the league, it becomes a really, really difficult game. And obviously that brings pressure for them, but it also means we have to be really intense and we have to match that willingness and desire to win, because they'll certainly have that the next two opponents we're facing. So it will make it difficult for us. But as always, we're going to try and impose our own game and try and make sure we turn it into the kind of game that we want. And just want to win as many games of football as possible between now and the end of the season, regardless who we're playing.
And just finally, if I can talk about football from a wider perspective, obviously every headline, both in sports papers and I think on front pages of websites and newspapers as well, is about the proposed European breakaway league, this Super League that's being talked about. And much of the annoyance and disgust and frustration from people within the game is about how money then trickles down. So from a lower league perspective at the moment, Russ, with somebody that's had top flight experience as well, I'll give you the floor. What do you feel about this proposal and how it might affect MK Dons?
I think the ramifications for lower league clubs are really difficult to tell now. It's just come out. But I think from a personal point of view, I think we've all realised that our football isn't the same without supporters this year. I think they have to be at the heart of every decision that's made, because ultimately it's the football supporters, the fans are the people that keep clubs going. You know, if any club hits a tough time, the people that keep the club going, the people that support clubs through thick and thin are the supporters. And I'm pretty sure that any decision made so far, or any plans about that's probably not been considered. I think every team, every player, every club a dream of getting to the top level. Leicester and Man City are two examples of that were playing in this level not long ago. And now are able to do what they do, and ultimately, I just think we have an incredible tier system of football, which not many countries have or replicate. And everyone says, it's too many professional clubs, but you look at the people that are playing in the top level now. Some of them, their stories. Jamie Vardy is one that obviously springs to mind really quickly. Harry Kane goes and learns his trade at a fair few football league clubs. So let's not forget how valuable lower league football is, and also this country, the cultural, the tribal aspect of it, because it means so much to people to play against, to be able to travel to watch games, to be able to support their team regardless of where they are in the country. And I just think it's in terms of being a football fan, let's not let I know it's a business, of course people take over football clubs and have to think about the business, but they're not doing too badly in the Premier League, they're not doing too badly out of the Champions League. So when does it stop? You can't have infinite growth financially forever in anything, and football is the same. I think the fans have to be, especially after this year, have to be really, it has to be considered. Also players as well. I'm not convinced. I think the Champions League is a great competition. I think the fight for it every year is really interesting. To take all of that away is detracting from our own game, and it only serves a few. Is the point, I guess. It doesn't serve the majority. It only serves a few. So I think, and the majority are football fans. So I don't think it's a great decision for fans, and hopefully it will be something that's considered and reflected upon properly, and people and the cultural aspect of the game comes way before any business decision. Because as I said, I'm pretty sure that none of these people are doing too badly with how it is at the minute.
Cheers, Russ. Appreciate it. Thanks, mate.
No problem.
With regards to Bristol Rovers, I mean, obviously a team that is right on the brink now of relegation. I mean, given the amount of change they've had, given the amount of ups and downs they've had this season, it's going to be a scrap, isn't it? Are you expecting a team that's a little bit more ready to chuck everything at you?
Yeah, I don't think you have any other option when you're. Unfortunately I've been involved in that as well at a different level, but you have no other option than to give it everything. Otherwise, you sit there with a lot of regret, a lot of pain in the summer. I think you can sit there with a different feeling, albeit you'll be disappointed but it's a different feeling if you've given it everything you've got and then come up short. So they're fighting for their lives. They've got a massive chance of staying in the league still. They've got 4 games. Their league's been, it's been shortened down to a 4-game season now, and or 5 games, whatever they've got left. So it is going to be really tough, Toby. There's no doubt about it. We're going to have to go there and match every bit of fight they have, every bit of energy they have, every bit of desire, and then it's up to us to take the rest of that out of the game and make sure we try and play our own game. So the boys will be up for it. They are really motivated, and they have a bit of extra motivation to go down and do really well.
Obviously a different manager from when they were here at the end of last year, but I mean it was a pretty comprehensive performance from your side to win that day. Are you expecting a different prospect?
Yeah, I think everyone we've played where there's been a change in manager so far. I think the teams look really different, including Saturday at Portsmouth, and expect none the same. I watched them a couple of weeks ago. I went to the game at Ipswich to watch them, and it's a team that's really fighting for each other, really working hard. They're unfortunate on the day to not get anything. So yeah, of course it's going to be tough, and they are very different. I expect it to be a very different approach to the team that came here, and we had a really good performance then. I think they've obviously had a change of personnel as well since then. The team looks quite different in terms of formation and what they're doing. So yeah, it'll be tough. It's a manager who knows the league really well, who's done a really good job at his previous club, and is doing everything he can now to make sure, obviously, his team stay in the league, and so it will be tough. But we're really looking forward to it. I think Saturday's given us everyone a really positive feeling the way he bounced back, and we just need to try to keep improving performances, and the results hopefully will come.